All right, you guys. So, welcome back to another episode of Real Recovery Unplugged. And I'm super stoked because one, we're recording a podcast inside of our new treatment space here in Tallahassee. Two, we are going to do something brand new today. We're going to do a podcast and treat episode. So, here to my left, I have Kasey, and she is going to share a little bit about her story. She has been, I would say, one of my most interesting patients that I've had to work with over the last. Have we had our year anniversary? I don't think we've had our year. We're close, though. We're almost to our 1 year anniversary in our relationship. So I'm going to really just open the floor to Kasey and allow her to share a little bit about what we've been dealing with, what we've been focusing on, and then we're going to go right into treatment, and then we're going to continue the conversation as we go into treatment. So Kasey, kind of like hitting the highlight points, what brought you into real recovery?
A spinal injury.
Okay.
So I ruptured my L4-5 2 years ago. It's been like July 2 years ago. Yeah, it's been a little over 2 years. And long story short, I've had 3 surgeries since then, multiple other procedures, experiments. My first surgery did not go good. It probably made me worse. And then I had 2 endoscopic cleanups. And each time they sealed my disc sort of in a way with a heat source, and it ruptured again.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with the gel inside of the disc, it is basically like battery acid, and it will make you feel like you're being burned from the inside out. So I spent several months feeling like my entire lower body was on fire. Yeah.
And you were someone completely healthy, like avid CrossFitter, just really, taking care of your body and things like that. So it really can happen to anyone.
To anybody. Yes, to anybody, because I was training for weightlifting competitions when it happened. And long story short, when I first came to Real Recovery and met Haley, I was having swelling in my legs. I couldn't put shoes on. Literally fluid retention down both legs.
And they weren't even normal color. They're like
they're blue,
dark purple, blue. I looked at her. I was like, "Do you have vascular issues?" And it
Nope.
all stemmed from the spine.
Dorsal root compression.
Yeah.
And basically my dorsal root being burned is the way it was explained by the disc just leaking out, and it's a very horrible experience. But dry needling is a miracle.
Yeah. So, I mean, really just kind of like 2 years ago was onset of injury. They made you do traditional physical therapy.
Oh, yes. So long story short, again, insurance doesn't like to help you in these situations. I had to do 8 weeks of normal physical therapy before I could have the first surgery, which turned out to be at a normal physical therapy office. They had no idea how to treat my condition, and they made me worse. And it's because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know not to move certain ways and put pressure on certain parts of your disc. Squeezes it, makes it leak more.
And the tough part to that too is, like a lot of times with insurance companies, right? Like they're requiring those 8 visits to approve you for next step in your plan of care. So, that physical therapist job, maybe they weren't knowledgeable specifically in spinal rehab, but even then you kind of have to show up as the patient, and you do have to endure some pretty terrible pain or,
Yes.
Interventions that are making you actually worse in the long run. But you have to say, like, hey, I'm committed. Like, I am showing up to this consistently just for insurance to take you seriously enough or take your pain seriously enough to be like, okay, I guess we'll approve you for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. And gosh, I was supposed to have another surgery in May. I think it was May.
I think it was even earlier than that.
It might have been March.
I think it was March. Yeah.
So my insurance is refusing to approve what should be the last surgery to basically peel scar tissue off of my nerve root
And this is what like the specialist of the specialist of the specialist is recommending.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm at almost the #1 facility for spinal injuries in the world.
Yes.
So my insurance has been denying it, and I have scar tissue and disc material that came out of my disc sitting on my nerve root, and that being caustic is making more scar tissue.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like I had burns inside of me. And dry needling is not covered by insurance either. Mm-mm. But what it will do is help break up the scar tissue on your nerves and help you get, I mean, I couldn't feel the whole outer side of my left leg. My legs were retaining fluid. The veins were not working to pump fluid back out of them until I started the dry needling.
And it's pretty cool because, I mean, like, we didn't do anything to your leg at all. We just stuck everything into the spine. And, you know, you were patient enough with me to allow me to try some different protocols. Kasey was not about the needling to start with. She looked at me like, no, I've had enough needles. Like, no thanks. Let's just stretch or do X, Y, or Z. And you were down to do anything. But definitely after we got to know each other and you started letting me experiment around with a few different protocols, it did take us some time to kind of find what worked best for you. But man, it would be so cool because you would come in and your feet would be so swollen they barely even fit in your shoe. And then like right after we just took needles out, you look down and your feet are more normal in color.
I was about to say, I think it was the first time my feet were swollen to where I couldn't even hardly see my ankles. And then after I got off the table, all the fluid had pumped. I even felt sick because all the fluid pumped out of my legs.
Yeah.
Like it was, and that is literally what kept me going and able to go to work and function all this time. And after my first session where we hit the scar tissue around my incisions, because a microdiscectomy will create so much scar tissue and it wraps around your nerves that you think you're still injured. But I literally, after that session, could push my finger on the spot and feel it breaking up. And as it's breaking up, I'm getting feeling back in my leg. So you have to be your own advocate. You have to. And this is, come see Haley. That's all. Because this is something I never thought possible. And 2 years ago, I didn't even think I was going to walk again. But here I am.
Yeah, and you've been killing it. You've been staying consistent like 2 times a week since before March. I think February is when we started really seeing each other consistently. And so like when you think about those number of visits and all the time, energy, monetary funds, everything that was taken, but like again, insurance would never approve a stint of working together that long. But it really has taken us this long to get you here.
And insurance still to this day is denying the surgery that I actually need. But
yeah.
After the needling, the therapy, and some experimental procedures that Haley actually recommended, I'm not sure if I'll need surgery anymore. And more people, please consider stuff like this before you have these surgeries. The scar tissue alone, it's horrible. Like my surgeries, my second and third were to clean up scar tissue. And I woke up from the first one feeling like everything was totally normal, like nothing ever happened, but my disc re-ruptured 2 days later.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's rough. So what we'll do is we'll continue the conversation. We'll talk about what some of those experimental procedures were that I kind of had knowledge of after I start getting some needles in you. So it's cool. The people get to watch the treatment session happen.
And I'm very excited to get needled because that is really how much it helps.
And it's Monday. It's like after the work day, you know, like we got to get some treatment going. So it'll be good. And I will like preface this with, you know, some of the areas that we're hitting on Kasey, like spine pain is real and like nerve pain is a pain like no other. And you really have no idea what it feels like unless you've experienced it yourself. So sometimes whenever I hit a few of these areas, I reproduce it for kind of a second. So some of them are a little intense or induce muscle spasms and all of that. But it's really cool watching the process unfold and see how much better things are after. So sweet, we're going to hop into it. Okay, so here we go in our level above. Okay, we're going above the scar. Good job, good job. That's above, yep. Good one today, huh? All right, we're going lateral. Good. We're going medial. And with this scar tissue needling, like we're really staying very superficial as we're breaking up the myofascial adhesions and the scar tissues and things like that. So it's not that we have to go super deep, and we're not doing anything to put your previous surgeries in jeopardy. But it's been really fun collabing with your specialist team, because your first team would have never been good with this. But ever since you went to a more up-to-date center, they've been all about it, right? Yeah, they're all about the conservative care, because we really know with spine, the more conservative we can be, the better long-term outcomes that we have. Otherwise, we start having a lot of complications from spinal surgeries, and we have to start addressing those as time comes later. There's definitely different types, and there's some people that have, structural deficits. You had to have a bony anatomy type surgery with hardware because you were in a traumatic incident. Like, there's a time and place for all of it, and I've treated a bunch of patients post fusions and things like that are still dealing with this chronic pain because, again, the nervous system is aggravated. It can be scar tissue around those nerves still, even though they had to have hardware. Like, it doesn't have to be just for a post discectomy or a disc issue. That's a good one. How we doing? That definitely feels better from last week.
My nerves are definitely waking up, and all of my MRIs showed my nerves really swollen, and the swelling is actually going down.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool to see, right? To start really having that feedback. All right, and there we are. We're hooked up to electrotherapy.
It's crazy. I watched my granddad. He did literally the same injury I have. He was almost 40 when it happened, and the whole entire rest of his life was ruined. And if he would have known about this, he may have had some quality of life.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, and there's been so many advancements, and, so much more knowledge is available to us now, which is fantastic, but it's crazy still the number of people that don't know that they can advocate for themselves or seek other opinions.
My insurance actually told me they would approve a fusion, but not an endoscopic cleanup to get scar tissue off of my nerve roots.
It's pretty wild,
and
isn't it?
And that's a several $100,000 difference, and there's so many more options.
And you even, you knew enough to advocate for yourself. I was so impressed by you the first time I met you and we talked about everything, because you'd already done, I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm taking it to the next level. You had review boards on it. You had an internal and then an external review. And, unfortunately, there's still a battle with all that, and there's still denials, but, so many people never even make it that far. And, I just can't even, I admire you and how much you've been advocating for yourself, because most people, myself included, would just hit a point eventually and just be like, you know what, I don't even, you just playing a losing battle is tough. All right, how are we feeling with everything? Now we got everyone working. Better there?
Already figured out, the more we turn it up, the more it helps.
Yeah, more is better, but it can be a little spicy sometimes.
So, alternatives to, traditional surgeries, that procedure that you recommended, the nerve hydrodissection.
Yeah, so basically after Kasey and I were working together, I mean, I don't know. When was that first procedure? A couple months ago?
The first time they did that was July 7th.
So we've been working together since February, and after I saw kind of the response that she was having to needling, I was like, oh, like this is actually really great. Like we're making really good progress here. And through my fellowship training and everything, shout out to James Escaloni. He taught us about this nerve hydrodissection procedure where basically they're taking more or less saline solution and they'll go into whatever is being adhered around a nerve root area. And they're just basically pressure washing the nerve to get those restrictions off of it. But this way we're not causing nerve damage, or we're not, again, cutting another structure that's actually supposed to be a supportive one for our spine or other extremities and things like that. So it's just a way to let the nerve breathe, let it have some breathing room and have some space. And that's really ultimately what it wants and craves. So as Kasey was responding so well to the dry needling, I was like, man, we should look into this and kind of give it a go. And so I kind of just talked about the procedure with her, and I said, hey, she had an upcoming appointment with her specialist, with her neuro. And so she went in there and had a conversation, and he was all for it. So,
because my insurance would not approve the surgery, but that procedure took me from, it broke up so much tissue and disc material on my nerve root that it took me from not being able to sit at all for more than maybe 10 minutes. I couldn't get in a vehicle. I had not left my house in 2 years. I couldn't drive myself anywhere. It made a world of a difference, and it's breaking up so much stuff and so much scar tissue on my nerves. I've had it done twice now. And with the combination of that and the needling, I'm almost at a point where I don't think I need another surgery.
Yeah, I mean, and you're phenomenal and still doing some rehab exercises. You know, you're so regimented at this point. You take care of business for us at home and a lot of those things, and I'm able to do more of the manual therapy stuff. But I mean, it's been really cool to just watch your quality of life progress. And don't get me wrong, like she still has pain, 1,000%. There's no question about that. But you know, also her job was starting to be less and less accommodating as time goes on. And basically it was, if there's not another surgery currently booked or on the table, then you're no longer getting X, Y, or Z accommodation. And it's kind of like sad because it really takes you from like, they're ranking the severity of your injury off of how invasive of a surgery you have, not off of the pain and functional deficits that are present.
And it's my employer-provided health insurance that is refusing to pay for the treatments needed.
Yeah, so
which is even crazier.
Right, it's a lot of things at play here for sure.
But there is alternatives. There is, be your own advocate. Surgery might not be necessary.
Yes, for sure, or at least building that team and that ecosystem around yourself. I am not a surgeon. I don't pretend to be or anything like that. However, I do have knowledge over a lot of functional, outcomes and where's a patient at? How can we really accurately diagnose this issue? And it's not just what a MRI shows, because if you guys didn't know, MRI cannot show pain. It can't. And no way can you look at a scan and it says, here is how much pain the patient has. Here's the deficits that are definitely probably causing pain. But to that point, too, you could have an MRI showing XYZ your deficit, and it may not be what's actually causing the pain either. So you have to bring it all together. And so Kasey's team, and I find that all of the more advanced, more modern leaders in research practices are much more likely to actually communicate with your local provider, whoever they are, so we could really build that relationship and build this team around Kasey, which has been really fun.
Awesome at this point. and I really, really, really want people to know there is things you can do other than have major invasive surgery and hardware.
Absolutely. And, it was cool because, like, even then to watch you working from 100% at home to, like, now you're in the office. Are you in the office 5 days a week now?
I am.
You're in the office 5 days a week now. And again, we're having new challenges with that we're addressing as we go. But when I first saw you, you would have had to quit your job or lose your job. Like,
Exactly.
there's just no way that you could have.
There's pretty much up until July, I was at that point. My pain levels went from a 7, 8, 9 regularly to a 5, 6, to where I can somewhat function. And a lot of it was from the swelling, the nerve, the edema, the fluid in my legs, because the nerves that were pinch controlling the function of your legs.
Yeah, absolutely. So to watch you go from, you would even like walked into the clinic like stooped over almost. Like you just weren't even able to stand straight up and actually hold yourself there. And then to watch you, have way more mobility unlocked, like with your hips and everything. Before, when I tried to stretch your hamstrings, I could barely get them up without them spasming and locking down on us, or you having all this intense nerve pain. And now we have you pretty dang close to normal with hamstring mobility and everything. Again, we have our good days and our not so great days, but we're working on that. And then to see, like have your feet be normal colors, have your sensation return, have your, bowel bladder movements much improved. Talk about quality of life,
Just being able to leave my house.
Yes.
and drive myself somewhere is so important. And I'm just forever grateful.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's true. Like, I didn't even say that. Like, you literally started out, you had to get drove to all of your appointments. You always had a driver. And then the first day Kasey, like, showed up, I didn't see a vehicle leave the parking lot. And I was like...
Yeah, I had to be transported. I had to lay down in a vehicle because I could not sit.
Yeah, because you couldn't stand that upright position because you'd feel the compression. You just feel that disc leak out. And there's all your searing nerve pain. And then even, like, you went to Orlando a few weeks ago. You got to go somewhere, like not within your normal 30-mile radius.
At all. I drove myself 3 hours away. It was incredible.
Yeah, so.
After being confined to my home for 2 years.
Yeah, and, a lot of people, they're like, oh, like that's hard or anything. But I mean, think about it, 2 to 3 years in that mental state, too, of going from being so independent to now you can't even drive yourself to a doctor's appointment that's 20 minutes down the road. You can't even go into the office of the job that you're performing without any issues. And so to see where you're at now, I think it's great for any patients or any people that are out there that are currently on the same or similar journey. There can be light at the end of a tunnel. There can be hope. There can be other options out there. You just may not know about them yet. And I've had some patients come from pretty far areas to seek alternative care. And, even with Kasey, day one we tried it, I said, I can't promise you anything at all, and I'm not going to, other than I'm going to promise that I'm going to try. And as long as we kind of keep working on it together, we'll see what we can unlock and make happen. That's pretty cool. How are we feeling?
We're feeling pretty good.
So this treatment that you're seeing happen is dry needling with electrotherapy, or you call it electric dry needling, so EDN for short. We're doing a little bit of different protocols all in one. So we're doing some for muscle tension. If you guys can see, some of the needles are kind of starting to bounce out because we're breaking through some layers. Some of the big contractions that were there are calming down as we're getting more blood flow. We're getting loosening of those muscles. I'm also doing some perineural needling, which is kind of following where some nerve lines run out, and we're able to kind of chase that nerve pain coming down. That's been huge for her with improving like the hamstring mobility, which is just your ability to go from sit to stand without feeling that nerve is on tension as well. And then we did some scar tissue needling too, which is great for increasing microcirculation, for breaking up, again, those adhesions and just allowing the body to breathe and not have this stagnant blood flow in a chronically inflamed area. It's good inflammation in a new way.
Yeah, I I couldn't feel the whole outside of my left leg. I had I couldn't walk on my heels. My big toe was totally numb, and I'm getting all of that back now. And it's like my nerves are waking up, and I'm literally crediting the needling and that nerve pressure washing to all of it.
Absolutely. Well, and you have to credit yourself too, Kasey. You know, it's your time, dedication, you know, energy, and just your mental capacity to show up every day and to not miss your appointments on bad days, but make the drive to see me to help us get ahead of it and to start having more good days than bad days. And that's no easy feat, and it takes a lot. And it's important that you kind of recognize that for yourself too, of everything that you've done for your health. Because if it wasn't for you, end of the day, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. Because traditional healthcare told me, well, there's nothing else we can do, and you'll get well eventually. But that was not the case.
Yeah. So it's been a journey, and we still have a journey together. But you know, that's the beauty of it, is we're not letting anyone put parameters on it. You know, it's a chronic thing. You've had this pain for, you know, over 2 years now. And so it's taken us time to work through it. But by being able to continue our journey and to alter as your body starts presenting differently, it's been huge.
Life altering. Literally.
Absolutely. Well, Kasey, while we're hanging out, is there kind of anything else that we haven't really covered, or anything that you'd want to say to someone that's in a similar situation or has a family member that's in a similar situation?
Just that if you're gonna get treated, make sure you come somewhere. I mean, for specific injuries like this, you have to go to someone who knows about the movement and mobility of the spine. Have to, because just the ways you move, if you twist wrong or turn the wrong way or lean to the side, like the exercises and the therapy that people actually do, it has to be specific. And when I say specific, it means if you have a herniated disc, is it herniated out the front, the back, the side? It matters in what therapy exercises you do. And you have to go to someone like Haley that studied it and understands and knows the difference. That's not going to cause you to hurt yourself worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Not every electrical person is built the same. Not every teacher is made the same. Not every surgeon is made the same. Not every physical therapist is made the same. Not every osteopractor is made the same. But definitely it does have something to say of my knowledge base, just graduating from my doctorate program in physical therapy, where I learned a ton, but then going forward and doing that fellowship program and getting my diploma in osteopractic, we went so much further in depth on things, especially with the spine. And then a lot of, out of school further research, really taking the extra time with my patients to really pinpoint what's going on with them. It's just been really cool to learn more, and then to be able to take someone like Kasey and to be as specific as possible and to try to create a treatment program that's just for her and her needs. And I think that's the biggest thing that I started Real Recovery for, was to be specific and custom to the individual that walks in my door, not to the diagnosis.
I think that's one of the, like, I know you and your team are very familiar with the movement and the mobility of the spine and how to not injure people, and you actually take the time and look over their scans and figure out the nature of their injury. And that's incredible. And one of the first things my surgeon that I have now that's been helping me has told me, one of the very first things he told me is, you need to watch videos even get a little model of the spine and bend it and watch the ways that your spine flexes and where it puts pressure on the disc, and you need to avoid, you have to learn the way you move that puts pressure on the injured part of your disc. And if you're going to be treated, you have to be treated by somebody who knows that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that pretty much concludes our podcast and treat episode. So we're going to let Kasey marinate on the needles a little bit longer. I'm going to do some mobility work on her, and then I think we're going to call it a day. But Kasey, thank you so much for coming on and for just sharing your story and letting us share more about you, because...
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. If y'all are struggling with a spinal injury, please come see them. Seriously, please do, because this has changed my life. Like, I would not be able to go to work right now. Be your own advocate. Understand the way you move, and see people like Haley that has actually taken the time to care and learn that stuff, rather than just want to take the very next, just get people in and out as fast as possible. You only have one spine. That's
Absolutely. One spine and one life, right?
that.
All right, you guys. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Good team.